The Steers start the McChristian era off with a shutout victory. Hello, everybody. Terry Bennett here on the Graham Steer Football Show as Graham takes care of Midland Christian 23-0 as Coach Clay McChristian gets his first win as a head coach, and perfectly fitting that it would be a shutout against a very physical and I think at times, I don't want to say underrated team because I think everybody knows how, but I don't think people understand how they just always reload. They're always big, they're always physical, they're always pretty fast, but Graham did enough. And they get the big victory. On to now the big non-district rival, the Springtown Porcupines, who surprisingly got beat by Joshua 21-20. Now, I know Joshua's running Flexbone, I think it is now. So, that's kind of hard to prepare for, even if you start them off, if you're playing them at the first week of the season. Maybe Springtown was looking a little bit ahead to this game. Of course, this is one of the fun rivalries in the state. It's always a physical game. It's always one of those games where it just feels like the two teams just stand at the 50 and take haymakers at each other. And it's going to be another great one this week as well. As always, we're going to be talking to the head coach. I say as always, it's the second episode, Clay McChristian, about the win against Midland Christian, about the game against Springtown. Also, what was it like coaching his first game as a head coach? Did it feel any different? We'll talk about that and more when we come back on the Graham Steer Football Show. Do you have a kid that plays sports? Are you yourself a weekend warrior? Then I'm going to tell you something. Check out NeuroGuardPlus.com. That's NEURO GuardPlus.com. It's a mouthpiece that can not only help with concussions, but can dramatically affect the way you perform. And the mission of NeuroGuard is to, of course, reduce the risk of suffering a concussion when participating in any contact sport, military, anything that you're doing physical that you could take a blow to the head. You might want to put in a NeuroGuard mouth guard. And as I said, it not only helps eliminate concussions, it helps you perform better by simply aligning your jaw properly. And that sounds like such a simple thing, but it is so important because it allows oxygen to get to your brain. And when you get oxygen to the brain, you don't have that fog of sports or that fog of war where you get confused. And if you've ever played football, that's a sport where that can happen. Especially, man, you're in there in the trenches and you take a shot to the side and all of a sudden things are spinning. This mouth guard will help you keep focus by, again, simply keeping oxygen going to your brain 100%. Again, check them out, NeuroGuardPlus.com. And if you play sports, if you have a kid that plays sport, if you do something physical, one of the things that Dr. Hutchinson, the creator of this, was talking about was some people will use it when they're doing yard work and when they're mowing and things like that, where they're being physically active because they know it helps align their jaw and it keeps oxygen going to the brain, which also helps your lungs, by the way, when you can have full breath every time as you're performing. So again, check them out, NeuroGuardPlus.com.
Hi, I'm Josh Bell with the Miami Marlins. I wear NeuroGuard to help with strength and coordination when I'm in the weight room and help with balance when I'm on the baseball.
Terry Bennett back here on the Graham Football Show. Now joined by the head coach of the Steers, Coach Clay McChristian. And, Coach, first off, congratulations. Your first win as a head coach, a shutout. That had to feel great.
It did. Kids played well. It was one of those nights where it was not perfect by any means, and we made lots of mistakes. But anytime you can look at the scoreboard at the very end and you see a 0 up there, it's usually a good night.
Well, and you and I talked about this last week, and if you follow high school football, there are certain private school teams that just are always big, fast, and loaded. And Midland Christian is one of those. And that was, I know the score is 23-0, but you can attest that was a dogfight out there.
It was exactly what we expected. It's exactly what we got. We knew they were good up front on both sides of the ball. We knew they had good skill kids, and the biggest thing is we knew they were well coached, and they came out some really good schemes on both sides of the ball that we had to kind of adjust to a little bit. But it was a great first game, and it's exactly what we needed.
Were you nervous at being your first head coach game?
I've had some people ask me that. I really wasn't. I guess just after 27 years, I've been down there on the field the last 10 years. I really kind of thought that I'd be a little bit more nervous, but really just kind of settled in and you just get to coaching. And so, head title or coordinator or what, man, when you get to coaching kids, you look up and it's all coaching.
When you look at that game, and game one, you're going to have a lot of mistakes and things you need to clean up. What are the couple biggest things you feel y'all need to improve on as quick as you can?
And I know defensively, we just had some big errors in the secondary. Like I said, we had to play a couple of sophomores on the back end, and you look at the zero up there, and it really could have been about 21 if they would have hit the right receivers, or if we hadn't got the pressure we did. So we had some mistakes in the secondary. Early on, your tackling's never where you want it to be. So I thought we missed some tackles that I think, a game-by-game basis, I think will be better. Offensively, I thought we pass pro'd okay at times. We let guys slip off blocks a little bit late. We still have to do some work in our run game. But I thought Ty did a good job, kind of seeing the field and taking what the defense was giving him. But no, it's definitely the film session on Saturday was. I'm not sure anybody really thought we won because once we got into the film, there was lots of coaching going on Saturday.
Well, and I want to bring up one thing about, again, we're talking about how Midland Christian and how they play and stuff. They're one of those teams, man, they let their front do all their pass rush, and they just drop everybody else in coverage.
They did, and that's why you look up, and Ty had about 140 yards rushing because they just walled. They play a little, Tampa coverage. They dropped their Mike backer out there deep, and they let the other two backers wall, and so there was lots of running room, and they dropped – 7 or 8 every play. And so there was lots of running room. And that's why I was really proud of Ty is, he comes in the year, we're talking about his passing yardage, and every quarterback wants to throw for 400 yards. Well, sometimes that's not what the game dictates. And sometimes the defense says, hey, you're not throwing for all this. So I thought Ty did a great job just stepping in saying, I'll just go run for 140 yards if you're just going to drop everybody.
Well, and that's that, we always talk about, he's been starting quarterback for a long time. He's a senior now. And I don't know if he does that as a sophomore. I think maybe he takes a little bit more chances, and you're seeing that development as a quarterback as he matures.
It is. And that's what you expect out of a senior quarterback is don't panic, just see what the defense is doing, read the coverage, and then just take what you can get. And, he did a great job of hitting the passes that he needed to hit and then taking off when he needed to take off. And that's that maturity process that we're glad when you see as a senior. When they're freshman and sophomore, you're right. You don't always see that.
All right, you're 1-0. Now you go on the road to take on a team well in Springtown. And no matter how good the Porcupines are, every coach I know that plays them always talks about how physical and how sore you are the next game.
That's exactly right. You nailed it. They play a physical brand of football, and we kind of pride ourselves on the same thing. And so we know every time we get out of this game on Saturday, there's going to be a lot of kids that are working on those bumps and bruises. You just kind of, this early in the year, you want to hope that you get through it healthy. But again, they're well coached over there. We've been coaching against those guys for a long time, and so they know us, we know them, and we both bring a physical style of football to it. And so it's going to be a good one. It's one that you definitely circle every year, knowing that it's big for them. It's also big for us. It sets you up for a good year.
Well, and you brought up a great point. They got upset by Joshua in week 1, and some people be like, "Hey, that's a good thing," but you said it best. The best way that they can get that out of their mouth is to beat y'all. So you're already going to get their A game because it's a rivalry, but you're going to get their A+ game because they want their first win.
That's it. That's definitely it. As we said, the best way to wash away a loss and to wipe it away is to get a win. And there's nothing better than what they're looking at is to look at this game this week and put a circle around us and say, let's not worry about what happened in the past. There's nothing we can do about Joshua. And I don't know anything about Josh. They could be a great team, but they're looking at this next week saying, let's focus on the next one. And so I think we're going to definitely get their best. We always get their best shot, but we'll definitely be getting everything they got.
Offensively, what do they do that can give you some problems?
Formationally, they do a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
They make you be sound, and so I think that's really good for us. We always like playing them early because it really makes you think a lot on defense. It makes you make sure that you're sound on the back end, you're sound in your gaps up front. So they're going to bring a lot of that. They're going to bring lots of 1 and 2 tight end sets, and so that's back to that physical brand of football. They're going to get back and try and pound the rock at you, then play action, try and go over the top. So it's something we have to make sure that we're prepared for.
And we talked about they're a physical defense, but they like y'all are also a very sound defense. Watching them, they don't get out of position too much.
They don't. No, they play a lot of man coverage. They're going to kind of lock you up on the back end, and they let their front go to work. They play a 3-man front, but their backers are really aggressive, and so man, they will come down in a hurry. And if it's a run, they're in your running lanes. If it's a pass, they're basically bringing 6 at you. So you better be sound up front or they'll get after your tail.
Here at L4 Media, we talk high school football, 4A, 3A, and 2A in Texas. We talk East Texas sports. We talk NFL, guy talk, movie, and booze. We also talk wrestling and so much more. And you can see it all on our YouTube channel at L4 Media Company. Like and subscribe. As always, we want to thank the coach for joining us. 1-0 sounds good, especially when you've got your rival coming up in Springtown on the road. Going to be on the road for the next, 3 out of 4 games. You got Springtown, Whitesboro, both on the road. Decatur, who lost to Brock, you'll get them at home. And then Lake Worth, who Brock plays this week. You get on the road, and then just like that, we'll be in district. This is one of those things that we all talk about this as we get older. Things just seem to go faster. Christmas is always right around the corner now. The football season, in season for me, it's always been that way. It's like you get so amped up. You got the 2 scrimmages, and then week 1, and then you blink, and you're in week 6. And then you blink, and then boom, you're in the 3rd round of the playoffs. It's just this whole time of year, probably because it's my favorite time of year, not only because of football, the holidays, the temperature. Hey, man, we cannot ask for a better how we've started the season off weather-wise, and it looks like it's going to continue for most of Texas. Yeah, the rain's not great, but man, when it's 65 at night, you can't get any better than that. And so it's my favorite time of the year, and it always seems to fly by, but especially the football season. Again, we're still looking for some sponsors. So if you want to be a sponsor here on the Graham Steer Football Show, all you got to do is email me, Terry at S2SSport.com. You can also text me 469-605-3658, and I'll tell you how you can get to advertising. Just say, hey, I'm interested in being on the Graham Steer Show. Also, you can use that same email, Terry at S2SSport.com. If you have any questions, thoughts, or comments, whether it be to me, whether it be to the coach, whether it be about 4A. And by the way, check out our state show, Sideline to Sideline, where we cover 3A, 2A, and 4A each and every week. And we basically record 3 shows a week until we get deep into the playoffs, and then we combine them. And then in the offseason, we combine them. But in the season, for the next 10 weeks, you're going to get 3 episodes, 30 episodes a regular season of Sideline to Sideline, and we recorded those last night. Had a lot of fun. The 4A show. I had some mic issues I didn't realize until today when editing. I will get that fixed for that one, but it was a weird night. We had some internet issues. Studio Dog decided that she wanted to bark at everything. Hey, that's what it's like when you're recording a Sideline to Sideline episode. Tuesdays are such a fun day here in the studio. All right, that's gonna do it for this week. Week 3. We'll talk about it next week on the Graham Steer Football Show on L4 Media.